Good afternoon, folks, East Coast time. Good morning, folks, West Coast time. And good evening, folks, India time, because we do have some audiences in India also. Thank you very much and welcome to the Friday noon hour. Actually, this is the season two. We've run one full season, almost 6 months, and now we are starting season two on Friday noons. This programming is brought to you by the US India Political Action Committee and the Imagine India Institute. My name is Robinder Sachdev. In these shows, a weekly show, what we do is we pick up issues and topics of interest to the Indian American community, which relate to issues within America, domestic, as well as, of course, on aspects of US India relations. But today's topic is something which is purely, perhaps to a very large extent, focused on domestic American politics and domestic American public affairs. I think ever since the transition from the Trump administration to the Biden administration, there has been one big question in the minds of everyone. What is the future of the grand old party of the United States of America? That's the question we picked up for today's discussion. And we have a distinguished panel of folks who are leaders in their own rights in electoral politics, policy advocacy, and such on the GOP side. They are Republican leaders. So the session and the discussion of today is purely with Republican leaders, activists, or folks with that ideological thought. And the topic is, what is the future of the grand old party of America? I am privileged to have with me a distinguished panel, starting with Mr. Puneet Ahluwalia, who is running as a Republican candidate for the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Virginia. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining. Welcome to the Friday noon hour.
Thank you. Honored and delighted to be here.
My pleasure, sir. We have with us Art Estupinan, of course, a chief of staff. Amongst his many hats and many experiences, he's been the chief of staff of Senator Ross Elena.
Elena.
Thank you, Art, for joining us on this show today.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for your invitation again. Good to be here.
And of course, we have with us Dr. Sampath Shivangi, a long-time activist leader, expert in health and, of course, mental health. That's what we were discussing. Also, another key area in today's day and age. But anyway, so Dr. Shivangi was appointed by President Trump on substance abuse and mental health aspects, as well as been a former advisor to President George W. Bush. Thank you so much for our eminent panel for joining us for this discussion. We are also awaiting another colleague, another distinguished panel, Danny Gaikwad from Florida, but he is at a COVID shot, situation right now. So he may join us in a while or may not be, but let's see. So thank you once again. And folks, okay, this is going Facebook Live on the US India Political Action Committee page, as well as Imagine India Institute page. Folks, if you're listening, we can see that some folks are watching it. We can see eyeballs and all. Okay, we do get a comment coming in from Uday Sachan, who says, very interesting. Thank you, Uday, for commenting. So folks, please keep your comments coming, but better than comments, what we would love is your questions, because your questions will then tickle the minds of this eminent audience that we have here. That said, let us now begin with the first round. The first round of question is an open-ended question to our distinguished panel. We invite each one of you to make your overall comments on the topic of the day, starting with Puneet Ahluwalia. What is your take, or how do you look at the question, the future of the GOP in America? Sir.
I think first thing is I want to thank you and USINPAC for doing a phenomenal job for many years. I do want to thank Sanjay Puri when I reached out to him that I'm running, and he said, well, let me know what I can do to help you. And this is one of the many things he's doing for us. I thank him. And that's what is the community is helping each other. And that's how we Republicans are with each other, because we believe in liberty, freedom, and opportunity. Hence the reason we are motivated with far more greater vision for our country, for our state, and for the people of the United States and the rest of the world. I think we're in great position. When you have a President Biden talking about unity, at the same time, his machinery goes out and starts disrupting the great work done by President Trump in growing the economy, in creating jobs, fighting the enemies of the United States and taking them on head on. uh, working on peace accord in the Middle East, which has eluded us for so many years, building strong relationships with Quad. Look at the relationship with India, Australia, Japan, Korea. Phenomenal job done on all front. And what they're doing is reversing everything back. And at the same time, what we see is the overreach, the hunger and desire of these elitists, these socialists in the Democratic Party, which is basically going down now to identity politics. $15 minimum wage is to kill the small businesses. The racial balancing in school is about identity politics. At the same time, talking about defunding the police, taking away your Second Amendment right. Guess who's the most vulnerable in that? The law-abiding citizens. At the same time, the minorities. So there are so many things these people are up to, which only rallies most of the grand old party folks all together is what is the future of our nation? Are we going to be a socialist nation under the democratic regime? Because their agenda is not about America. It's about the 0.2% controlling the 99.8%. Folks, this is the reason we are going to win back the House. But most importantly, in 2021, it's going to start from Virginia. When the grand old party nominates and is ready to nominate an Asian American, a proud American from India as the next lieutenant governor. And because of what they have done in Virginia, it set the tone in the rest of the states. So we are very optimistic. We're very promised with with so many things which they are doing wrong, which is anti-American. We'll talk more about that, Robin.
So we'll come to that. Thank you so much, Puneet. Yeah, sure. I can see, I mean, the points that you're mentioning as to the future of not the GOP, but the future of the nation. That's the question, right, out there. And talking about the hourly wages going up from where to where and the socialist agenda. I mean, in a sense, it seems it's a mirror image, right? But we'll come to that later. On the conservative side, that's the argument that, it's going to be communism. On the progressive side, the mirror image comes down to something else. But we'll get that aside for the time being, because our idea is that in this discussion about what is the future and shape of the GOP of tomorrow, and absolutely we are so happy and we would welcome whatever one can do, we all can do to nudge, help, or contribute to your success as a leader in the state of Virginia. Thank you so much, Puneet. Thank you for your thoughts. May I now invite Art Estupinan for your overarching comments, the future of the GOP.
Thank you so much, sir. And thank you, sir, again for another program. As a panelist, I really enjoy it, and I receive a lot of feedback, not only from my Indian American friends here in the United States and in India, but all over the world. The Indian community, the diaspora has been expanding and is very successful all over the world. So it is truly an honor. And I spoke to my good friend, Mr. Sanjay Puri, a couple of weeks ago in his office, and he's doing well. Looking forward to starting and kicking off the USINPAC in many, many more different projects. So it is a true honor and pleasure to be here again with all of my Indian American friends. So I, like my previous colleague, also believe that the GOP is extremely well positioned. President Trump was an ardent advocate of freedom, democracy, and the United States. And we could never forget the event that he had with Prime Minister Modi in Texas, where we had hundreds of thousands of Indian Americans joining President Trump and the Prime Minister. Because the Indian American community is a hardworking community who knows perfectly well that that in order to succeed, they have to work hard, and they do work very hard. Whether it's in medicine, whether it is in business, whatever it is, the Indian community in the United States is very well. I had the privilege of working in favor of the U.S.-India nuclear deal, which was extremely important for India, and I continue to be active with Indian issues with the USINPAC. So it is truly a pleasure, and I'm so happy that we are seeing the difference of the Biden administration in comparison to President Trump. we're seeing it in immigration. We have a crisis in the border, and I am a product of refugees, Cuban refugees. But the fact of the matter is that we cannot have open borders. We need to have control. If not, we're going to have literally an invasion, and we don't know who's coming in by that border. And President Trump had that under control. And everyone is saying the economy is growing so well despite the pandemic. And wow, what a surprise. This is magic. No, it's not magic. President Trump and his team, with Secretary Mnuchin, had a very, very explicit plan to handle the US economy despite the pandemic. And that's why the United States is a shining star at this time because of the programs that President Trump implemented. We see minorities from Asians to Hispanics to African Americans, Republicans from all over the country, from Florida to California, elected in the last cycle because of President Trump's policies. So I am very happy. I'm very optimistic with the Republican Party and the comparison of this current administration to the Trump administration is becoming more and more obvious, and all Americans are seeing the difference, and the difference is very stark. So thank you so much for letting me say these words, and I look forward to a great event.
Thank you so much, Art. Yeah, of course, we remember, your participation and contributions to the U.S.-India Civil Nuclear Accord, and as a good friend and good, sounding board, and of course, on multiple aspects of U.S.-India
Many
relations.
years, like 30 years.
May the years increase forever and ever. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Pleasure.
My pleasure.
But
Thank you.
Art, the point that I was trying to tease out, which will come into the second round, because right now it's overall, right? The takeaway message I'm getting from you is that when we are talking about the future of the GOP, and that's when I'll come to Dr. Shivangi now, is that, okay, how is the GOP, or let's say you as leaders within the GOP contribute to that stance, are looking at it? The message I'm getting from you is that you are thinking, or it seems that the observation is that the Biden administration is failing on its own counts on a compare and contrast, and that in itself will be sufficient to take GOP forward. I'll come to that later in the next round. Now, Dr. Shivangi, as an active community leader for so many years, what is your take on the future of the GOP? And actually, if I may kind of juxtapose that to the comment which I discussed with Art right now, it's the discussion we want to tease out in this round is more about what the GOP could be doing, thinking, right? As, of course, the failings of the Biden, which GOP can hammer down. But what are your thoughts on that, sir?
Thank you, first of all, Image India and USINPAC for the invite, and I really appreciate, the kind words. I just want to begin who I am and where I am. When I came from India
Can you
to
speak
US,
a bit closer to the mic, sir? Your
Okay.
audio is, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, hope it helps. I arrived from India about 46 years ago, and with post-Nehruvian philosophy, pro-Russian socialistic mind. And when I came, I was very fond of Democratic Party. Carter was the president then, and we were very fond of Kennedy's and then Carter's. Then I realized that, we don't want to go there anymore, especially in the state of Mississippi. There was, with 200 years of Democratic Party leadership, suddenly changed to Republican Party, and they asked me to join. I was not sure because we have the socialistic mind and we are Democrats. That's why you see it today also in US. 70%, maybe 80% are Democrats, Democratic voters, compared to 20% Republican group in US. Puneet would vouch for it. Uh, so we have seen that in the elections. So we could never get in presidential election more than 20, 30, or 40% max any election votes in the presidential thing. So that made me to change my attitude. I think if we want to move to
Dr. Shivangi, if you'll pardon me, please, I do much, appreciate and respect that, right? So let's say that story and all, I mean, maybe, okay, are you trying to convey the future of the GOP based upon your past experience? Give us your overarching
yeah,
thought
yeah,
because
that's
we
why,
get into
I mean, that's why where we are. See, now today also, there is not much difference between, in the US Congress, there are about 6 or 7 votes. Democratic Party is leading in the US Congress, and we are even in the Senate. So it's not, the Republican Party is not too far getting a majority back. I'm so positive about it. I know of the post-Trump era, we are still, several discussions, just like when Nehru was not there, who after Nehru? So who after Trump? I think things will
yeah.
take, a shape by itself. I don't think we need to worry about it. Of course, if Trump can come out successfully in the New York legal issues he has, I think probably he'll be the next candidate again in 2024. I don't think, of course, if he doesn't come out, the biggest issue if Biden continues, if the health if permits, he may run for 2024. Otherwise, we have 2 Indian giants running against each other, 2 women. One is Kamala Harris, maybe Nikki Haley. So we'll have a lot of fun watching that. That's my
Very good.
perspective of GOP. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shivangi. We have a comment coming in from a listener or a viewer, Suresh Gangwar, who is saying very interesting. Thank you so much, Suresh, from wherever in the world you're watching. Your comments, but I mean, it'll be interesting if you can put in your questions also. So, thank you so much. Dr. Shivangi, that was pretty interesting. So, you think it's business as usual, things will sort out and all, because the now getting into the second round, that's where we want to get more discussing into the future of the GOP as a party, as a political party, right? What all's there? Mr. Punit Aluwali, are you running for the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Virginia, right? Sure, it's all politics. My question to you is that the Tea Party, let's say, and I mean, it seems that it's obvious that any party, which kind of goes into the polls and has a defeat, there must be a lot of introspection going on amongst the leaders or the voters or the sympathizers, as all of us would do. Like, okay, what went wrong? Why didn't our message carry through? Or why didn't we have the majority, right?
Mhm.
So, assuming something like that is going on within the Republican or conservative broad spectrum in the United States, and let's say one phenomenon which kind of powered the Republican Party, it seems, I mean, we can all, analyze maybe, was the rise of the Tea Party about a decade ago, and which powered the Republican Party, right? Now, my question to you is that post the defeat of Trump, are you seeing any other or any such, trend which you can see or any pulse within the party, because now it's a talk about the party itself, right? Or folks, or how to expand the tent, so to say. Are you seeing any of that amongst, or I mean, it could actually very well apply to your own strategy also when you're going it for the contest. So, what is your thought? How to, spread the message? We all, sure, we understand the core messages which are out there, right? The sense of freedom, law and order, etc. All of those things for which America stands. Economy with the Biden thing, it seems that the stimulus, I mean, $2 trillion wherever distributed will definitely bump up the economy in some way or the other, right? So that being said,
Mhm.
so uh, my question is more in terms of ideology and positioning. I think Art has dropped out. He had to. Thank you so much, Art. He was going in for another media appearance.
Yeah.
But Purohit, your thoughts?
Robin, a very good question. I think the lingering concern in most conservative and Republican conversations we've had is voter integrity. And that's a very big issue with all Republicans. And it should be with all Americans. Where was there fraud committed? Where was this election stolen from President Trump? We don't have a clarity on that yet. even though the Democrats may try to have their own narrative on this, which I believe is untrue. I think we have to look at, most importantly, is why are the legal, illegal, legitimate, illegitimate, the line is being erased. Is it only to gain power, gain control, enhance and increase the democratic agenda? That's a very big question we have to think as Americans, as people who love democracy. So that's what the Americans are asking, is that where is the voter integrity in the next election? And that's one of the very key questions that come up. So what I am suggesting is that you have to show your a state-issued driver license or any identity card to be able to vote in this election. Like Sampath said, when we all came here as proud Americans from anywhere you have come from, you worked hard to get your green card and then your citizenship. That is so important. We should make sure that we respect that we have earned the citizenship in this country, and you can only vote when you are a citizen. Isn't that fair? At the same time, it's also important to recognize that the election should not be an open checkbook where you find ballot boxes coming in a few days later, when the day of the election, we announce who the next governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, or president is. You cannot, or even Congress. We have found boxes coming out. People have taken in their swearing in ceremony, have come in here, and then suddenly they find a few hundred boxes and say, oh, geez, you lost. That starts to have people of America, in every part of America, start to say, is our election process fair and transparent? That's very important. Second aspect I want to start to talk about is, we keep coming up one tax after the other. Is the goal of the Democratic Party to undermine the middle class? Because I'm going to take one small example. The hardworking parents who are working hard, and Sampath and we all worked hard to make two ends meet, to give good education to our kids. Are we going to penalize those families for taxing them on gas tax, property tax? If you have a business, keep taxing on gross income and take away opportunities by having racial balancing imposed on them? Today, they're coming after your businesses. Then they're coming after your education of your kids. Then they're going to come after your jobs. And guess what? Then they're going to come after your freedom and your democracy. And that is exactly what they're doing. And I'm sorry to say that my community, the large, most successful Indian American community, is kind of paralyzed in this maze. You have to see which is going on. We, as Sampath said very rightfully, we came from a socialist mindset. And that's the socialist mindset is we need to shrug off, and we have to look at individual liberty and individual freedom. That Puneet Alwale or Sampath or Robin can today host the show and make sure the First Amendment is clear. That no, let's take this TV show on the Facebook or social media. That cancel cult is unacceptable to who we are as Americans. And I want to take this hyphens off. I'm an American. I'm proud of my Indian heritage. I'm really proud of the great nation I've come from or immigrated from. But today we are Americans, and we have to start becoming colorblind. I don't see black, I don't see brown, I don't see yellow, and that's the problem, the identity politics which the Democrats have taken our country into. We all left that in India or other parts of the country or the world we have come from. You land in America, you're an American. This is the reason why it's very passionate for us, because guess what? Robin, I'll say very important to you. The larger we go up, the bigger the sign or comes on our back that we should be put down. And that's what has happened. We cannot afford to become that casualty. We are part of this great American fabric. And I want, as Sampath said, the large Asian American population, which happens to be Democrat, have to start doing the introspect. Who are we? Anyway,
sure.
That's the reason I'm running for office.
Sure, awesome. I mean, one can sense it, and you brought in so many points which are so deep in ideology, but also so many points which are our day-to-day lives, which reflect an impact on them. I'll refer to them, but before going to Dr. Shivangi, I mean, there's a question coming from Suresh Gangwar. He seems to be an avid, happy camper listening to our discussion. Thank you, Suresh. His question is, why did Bob Menendez? Yeah, okay, sure. Today, by the way, I mean, a little different from the topic. The U.S. Defense Secretary is in India today, and Senator Robert Menendez wrote a letter asking him to convey to the Indian government a couple of things with regards to, the Russian S-400 missile defense systems which India is buying, plus some other things. So, Suresh, I think this question we'll keep it aside for the time being, because the topic of today is, the future of the GOP. And of course, it could also be the future of the GOP and GOP foreign policy towards India. But we'll keep that aside. Thank you so much for coming in. We have Tim. Tim Son. Hi, Tim. Tim says, hi, folks, joining you from Pennsylvania. Robinder, your show's always brilliant. Thank you so much, Tim. No, sir. I mean, please put in a question, Tim. The question we have today with a distinguished panel of leaders from the Republican side of the aisle as to the future of the GOP of tomorrow. Such a fancy suit, Robinder. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you. Uday,
Robin, just tell the other person who said by the way, Bob Menendez is a Democrat from New Jersey.
Uh-huh. Oh,
okay. We are Republicans. We're discussing about the future of GOP, and he happens to be a Democrat. So I just wanted to be very clear. The one who's writing against India is a Democrat.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The second point Menendez brought is against decreasing democratic values in India. I don't know whether he's authorized to say that, but we'll visit when we ask about it.
Yeah. Very true, Dr. Shivangi. I didn't want to get into. Yeah, sure. I mean, thank you, Puneet, for pointing it out. Suresh, the gentleman who put that question. Suresh, Robert Menendez is the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he's a Democrat. Okay, so the letter that he wrote to the U.S. administration regarding the visit of the U.S. Defense Secretary to India is to be seen in that context. And as also Dr. Shivangi mentioned that in that letter, Bob Menendez also mentions about some aspects of, other democratic or human right issues, which we'll keep aside for the time being. Thank you so much. We have another question coming in from Uday Sachan. Before I go to that, welcome, Danny. Thank you so much for joining us, Danny. We were discussing the future of the GOP, and we understand you were getting a COVID shot. Is that so, sir?
Yes, right now I'm in my car and heading right there because they just call me and they say, "Hey, we have an opening. Can you come right now?" I say, "Yes, I will not take a not chance." So I'm heading.
Sure.
So please
good
excuse
to see
me
you, Danny.
all that. So okay.
Please take care of you
guys.
first. Yeah.
Hey, Dr.
Thank you so much.
Shivangi, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, health first.
Yeah,
so that's why.
So now,
hello.
Now that you are, in good health and assured of good health, of course, we wish and
I have
pray
not
for
seen a Puneet in a long time.
Danny, good to see you. We miss
sorry, I
having
need to say hello to Puneet. I haven't seen a Puneet in years.
You still look the same.
Sometimes a lot can happen over a webinar organized by USINPAC. Just like you said, sometimes a lot can happen over a cup of coffee. So sometimes a lot can happen over a show webinar organized by US India Political Action Committee. Thank you for joining, Danny. Before coming to you, sir, let me put a question to Dr. Shivangi, and then we will come for your opening thoughts on the overall aspect of the future of the GOP. Dr. Shivangi, definitely, what Puneet highlighted are very, very critical, deep issues, nuances. But again, I'll kind of, churn the waters. I'll want from you, I would request from you and the viewers, that's why the show is, what do you think is the future of the GOP in terms of there must be some introspection going on, there must be some re-strategic planning going on, there might be some retreats going on, or whatever you frame it or talk about it, right? Or, conversations going on between fellow thinkers who are on this journey, who believe that the GOP holds the values which put it so well articulated. What is your sense? Where is the GOP heading today?
I think, as you said, it's a kitchen table talk right now because everybody is trying to follow up. What would be our next step? Again, it depends upon whether Trump would be back. I'm getting already a lot of communication from ex-Trump administration guys asking to keep going and he'll be back. And they already started raising funds on behalf of Trump. So probably it's possible that he may return, and he is going to campaign for next congressman or next senator in all the 50 states wherever it is possible. He's getting all the support from grassroots level of Republican Party. I think you can't count him down because nobody expected he will win against Hillary Clinton. He did it. So I don't think he's afraid of any election issue. I think he'll be back. If not, there are other many leaders in the nation with so many years of experience. They'll be there, including our own Nikki Haley. I think she will make a great president if Trump cannot return. I think she has every right, and I'm in touch with her. And if she runs, I'll be the first one to support her.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Shivangi. As you were saying that, Trump will be back or may not be back. I just saw Art Estupinan come back, so I don't know whether Trump will be back or not back. But Art Estupinan is back with us. Thank you, Art, for joining us back.
Thank
Now,
you, sir.
we do have some other comments coming in from some of the viewers who are listening to the remarks that Dr. Shivangi and Punit made. And he says, thanks, dear, enjoyed your valuable discussion. Thank you so much, Punit, for please pointing out that aspect of Bob Menendez, because I was trying to kind of move into the topic of the day about GOP. But this one viewer was interested about the politics of Bob Menendez. So we kind of got that cleared out. My question is very simple nowadays. After change of regime, what general American mindset in general? Sure, thank you so much, Uday. I think if you kind of track with us on this discussion, some of those elements will emerge. Tim Soam, thank you so much for the suit. Shout out to Arnold. Welcome. Now, may I invite Danny, since you joined a little late, sir, uh, your opening thoughts on the future of GOP. And sure, we've done one round of polite looking at things and all, the generics and all. We would much love from you to get, and you are, of course, a very aggressive and a very active, proactive participant in, conservative causes. What is your take on the future of the GOP if you were to be able to mold it or contribute to it, which you are?
So the question is irrelevant in my mind, but I'll still answer you. The future is always bright for GOP. There is no question about it. It's a formidable opponent. The election was slipped out of their hand due to certain reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
for me to say what is a GOP's future, extremely bright. We have a solid leaders upcoming
He's breaking up.
Yeah, Danny,
I think
we
maybe he's in a car. So
let me pull it on a side. I'm on the side. Can you hear me, guys? Proper.
yes, yes,
yeah,
So
we
if you
hear
Yes.
you
look
now.
at the lineup, including, can you hear me?
yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
we can.
Okay. Okay. So if you look at the bright future, I'm looking at the Punit right there. That's a GOP's new leadership coming up in every state, every place, every spot. I have a I have a vision that we should capture in 2022 the House, and then the role and the everything start beginning. There is no future, or there is no uncertainty. When you have a too many leaders in a party powerful, it's good. Something good comes out of it. Nothing wrong. If you look at the Trump, if he comes in 2024, he's absolutely formidable player. Would he come? Would he not
Yeah.
come? Only time will tell. I wish I had a crystal ball. But I'm looking, and I'm a grassroots worker in GOP in Florida. I'm not much in national politics because that's not my cup of tea, because I think all the politics is local. So I'll give you just slight scenario, if you allow me 30 seconds. In the city I live
Please.
in called Ocala, Marion County, for last 28 years, no Democrat has won for any Congress, Senate, this, that, state Senate, state representative, city councilman, county commissioner, sheriff. I can just go on and on. Now I'll take the next step, which is a state. We still hold the House, we still hold the Senate, we still have all the cabinet except one, which we lost in a recount as usual. by I think 300 votes or so margin. So, and Florida delivered, which I personally promised to President Trump on July 31st on a dinner table in Florida, that you will have maximum margin, and which he has almost 5 points. No presidential election ever done decisively like that. Now I'll give you latest by learning the lesson of this water fraud allegations, and all that. Florida legislature has taken the bull by horn, and now we're tightening all the law. That's all we want. Let everybody vote the way they vote, but we make sure that's a legitimate vote, you know. So those kind of things appear to my mind. If those things come into
Sure.
place, then GOP has no place but to win. They are not good at the things they should illegal tie, but hey, that's what party is all about. But I think future is extremely bright.
Thank you so much, Danny. I mean, you kind of put some things out very clearly, and of course, we all, I mean, are relating and hearing. We want to hear from you. And in fact, our audiences want to hear from you guys, right? The whole idea of the show is that our audiences, wherever we can take this message, is to, I mean, have an idea or a conversation as to, okay, we picked the topic, the future of the GOP. That being said, so the message I'm taking from you is that you think, or in fact, most of the panel here thinks, is that the future, or talking about the future of the GOP, is maybe a moot question. The future is bright, it already is bright. And of course, Danny, you made a beautiful point regarding Puneet. Yes, that's the future of, see, we are spanning the Indian American community also, and the more from the Indian American community, whichever side of the aisle, I think that's good for democracy or our participation. Now, may I come to Art, please? And Art, yeah, Danny, you a quick 10-seconder, and then I move to Art, please. Have you raised? Were you wanting to say something, sir?
Yes, I'm right here. I forgot to tell you. Your next debate should be what is the future of Democratic Party minus all this about to
Absolutely.
retirement people. So please
Good
make
Absolutely.
that,
question.
and I would love to hear.
Brilliant idea, Danny. Danny, brilliant idea, and we'll take it. And if I may, I'm sure that our producers and remote producers and our Sanjay and our USINPAC team, Imagine India team are watching and looking into the show. Guys, let's kind of definitely see. Our idea is to tease out ideas,
Yeah.
is to kind of bubble up ideas and let wherever things flow and whatever we can to kind of do some capacity building. Great thought,
Robin, I
Danny.
just want to, Robin, I wanted to say that the question from one of your person was, what is the general mood of the people in Virginia or in the United States? Very simple. Open up the economy, open up the school, get our life back to normal, have an intelligent, thoughtful way of doing the vaccines, which President Trump and the Republican leadership was able to bring out in a shorter span of time. It's important to get back to business normal. And the Democratic leadership is purposely trying to condition the American people towards socialism. That's very important for people who are listening and are watching. What is the general mood? It is growing disappointment and frustration. The economy is strong. That was built by the Republican leadership under President Trump. Let's continue that. That's very important. Art, I'm sorry, I didn't want to take away your thunder.
Thank you
No.
so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I mean, that's the message which is coming out of this discussion. May I now come to Art? Art, your thoughts continuing. I've given it now
Yeah.
asking a question because I think the conversation is going organic, but we understand what we are trying to tease out. Art,
Yeah.
yours, please.
I agree with my colleague, the gentleman who's running for the lieutenant governor of the great state of Virginia. That's a reality, and it is a very stark difference between the governors of Florida with DeSantis and the governor of Texas with the governor of New York and California. That they want Newsom and they want Cuomo out. They want to get rid of them. They're like, guys, this used to be the Empire State. Now it's the empty state because all of the financial big brokerage homes, our houses are moving to Florida. Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and you have a mini Silicon Valley happening in Austin, Texas, and in Florida. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or political scientist to know the transition of Americans leaving high tax states, high regulatory states, bureaucratic states like New York and California, and going to Florida. I hope when they move to Florida and Texas that they are enlightened as Republicans and no longer will vote in people that ruin the states like New York and California.
including
And
Virginia.
so, and Virginia, yes, of course. I don't know. You need to enlighten a lot of more people in Virginia. But I think that the American people feel the pain with gas increasing over 50 to 60 cents only in what, in 2 months or so, 2.5 months that the Biden administration has been in office. Could you imagine after a few more years, we're going to be paying what, a couple more dollars a gallon for gas? I mean, it's a big disaster. And the American people understand that. They're looking forward to 2020, as my colleagues in this panel have said, for the GOP to take over the majority again in the U.S. Senate and in the House of Representatives, to cut the wings of whatever socialist, climate, more regulatory programs that this Democratic Party wants to institute on the American people.
Sure.
Art,
Thank you so much, Art. Purit, may I please? And then, yeah, sure.
yeah, Blair.
Yeah. Art, thank you so much. You see, again, the message, if I'm kind of, being a sponge, not the sponge, Bob, but just absorbing and listening in, is that these are the aspects which are the classic, differences between, let's say, the conservative side and the or the Republicans and the Democrats and all. What I am thinking, and Dr. Shivangi, I'll put you on the spot on this, for example,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's this thing, because it all links in now. See, we are all candid. We all understand the various narratives which are out there, etc. What about the issue of social tensions? And let me preface that, social tensions, let me preface that
Very
before
good
I
question.
answer, sir. The fact, it seems somehow the the previous administration or Trump as a leader even unintending stoked some elements which have kind of let loose a lot of social rife and tensions. And we are seeing that impact, be it whatever. Now, we may say yes or no, whatever, why it's happening, law and order is not effective. But Dr. Shivangi, are you seeing within the Republican Party some reflection or introspection on this aspect, that okay, you may not be meaning it, but how is the message being taken forward? And since, you're an expert in mental health and nominated by President Trump as well as with President George W. Bush, you've been there. So, what we need to look at is a narrative. And let's say within the Indian American community also, we are a different color also, all of us, right? We look kind of little bit different than the mosaic which is out there. Or so, how
Yeah.
do you reconcile these two
Yeah.
things?
See, I make 2 points. One is see where the economy is going in last 60 days since President Biden took over. We have highest interest rate in 10 years.
Dr.
See the
Shivangi, can
market.
you come a bit closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
See the highest interest rate in last 10 years. 10-year rates have gone up so high. See the market is taking a big tumble, and the gas start said about the gas price. We were paying less than $2 CP. Now we are paying $3. With all the economic policies of Biden, where he does not want to extend the Trump administration, what they brought into such economic reforms, I think we are going backwards. I think he needs to take a lesson and head out to
Okay.
see what a common man feels. Of course, they are getting $1,400. They may not think about it. So what? $1,400 is not going to come every month in the next several years. So it's a one-time show. People who are going to spend them in various ways. Of course, I'm not against it. But I don't think that is the only criteria you can go by. And of course, as Punitji said, the vaccination program was brought up by Trump. I don't think in the history, within 12 months, a vaccination can be brought up into the effect. And it was the forcible force of President Trump to make these drug companies to come up with the vaccination. I think that is the biggest gift to the entire world. I think India benefited, the whole world benefited with
Sure.
these things. Of course, President Biden, we have to give him credit. He has stimulated, and by May 31st, every American will have a vaccination. That's a great gift to US. But of course, who brought it? President Trump brought this. I think we have to compliment him. We may not like everything he has done on personal issues, but we are not here to. He has gotten the 75 million votes, highest Republican candidate in the history of the US. I think that we have to understand.
Dr. Shivangi, your audio is off. If you can please speak to the mic of your device, please.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you in a moment. And may I, Puneet, I'm coming to you, sir. I'm coming to you, sir, because, but before that, thank you, Danny, for joining in. We understand you were in the car and you dropped out your back. Thank you, Danny, for joining back. Now, Puneet, see, my question is this, before you please.
I understand the racial question. And,
yes.
and you know, I want to talk about the racial issues because this is a very sensitive area that is going on in Virginia and the TJ High School. You know, I have to say first is that they all blame the identity politics or the race politics. What President Trump, if you saw, the African American people, the Black Americans voted in double digit for President Trump. Hispanic voters voted higher for President Trump. The job opportunity or the job growth were highest in the African American community, in the Hispanic community, and in the Asian American community. The poverty was reduced under President Trump. It is a Democratic Party which always plays the identity politics. And that's what we see in the school.
Put it, sir, may I quickly ask you, okay, if you're saying that's what the data was, forget what the Democrats said. Does it mean that the Republicans are not able to get their messaging out? If those were the positives out there, why is there, if you pardon me, a general perception that the issues of race and tensions and anti-politics have gotten more riled up and conflicting due to President Trump, for example, right? Was the Republican Party not able to get out its message?
Well, Robin, if you see there are almost 3 people from the non-white community who have been active in the Republican Party for many, many years, starting from Sampaji and my friend Danny Gaikwad, and God bless the soul of Harry Walia, who was one of the very big, long-time pioneers in the Republican Party, and then myself and many others who have come in. If we felt it was a racist party, we would not be part of the Republican Party.
Agree.
Very important. We have understood the essence of what it is to be a Republican and believing in liberty, individual freedom, and opportunity. That's why I keep coming back to that. The race issue has been there and will always be there because guess who brings it up? It's the Democratic Party which brings it up. They want to play it up. Now they're pitting the Asians against the Hispanic and the African Americans or the Black Americans. And the idea is to corner yourself and what kind of, you see, you have to also realize the education system that's being taught from schools to all the way to universities is more divisive. It is not about reconciliation and understanding of what our history is and was, but building a stronger future of America. But no, they're trying to pit us in against each other. That's how they have been winning. And that's the conversation we have to have as mature success adults, that we don't see people in colors. We see people as individuals, as human beings, because that's how I look at art. He may be white, but so what? Big deal. And that boxes have been created by the Democratic Party, and I keep saying that.
Thank you so much for
I just want to add up.
Art, a quick comment, and because Danny would Art, a quick comment, and Dr. Shivangi, and then we go to
I agree with Puneet, because the fact of the matter is that we are all Americans. I don't care if you are orange or green. It doesn't matter. The reality is that as Americans, we love this country. and
Yep.
we want the best for this country.
Sure.
And that's why we saw African American men voting in record numbers for President Trump. We saw Latinos voting in record numbers for President Trump, as well as Asians Americans, because we had the lowest indices of unemployment of all of these communities. The African American community and Latino community had really big numbers before President Trump. And after his election, we saw the numbers shoot up because of the opportunities. People want opportunities. They don't want free handouts. So that's why I believe in the principles of the Republican Party, which is hard work, and just trying to be the best that you can and to contribute to the fabric of the United States. And that fabric of the United States includes many colors, and we are all brothers and sisters.
Sure. Thank you
Agreed.
so much, Art. Before I go to Dr. Shivangi, there was a comment from Prabh Singh. So, can our producer please share what Prabh said? As a businessman, so Prabh Singh says, as a businessman, Donald Trump may spend more time on his professional activities. He was not accepting a salary while being in the White House, but now he's making money via his hotels, casinos, etc. Do you think this will influence the decision or not to run? Great point. That Donald Trump is now making money back in business. Why would he go back to the White House? It seems. So there are over 3 more years for him. He can be campaigning for this long. How long will he keep hold of his business till next? Thank you, Prabha. Very interesting point. Yeah, sure. I mean, each one of us. See, there's a trade-off between public service and our professional and businesses. So, Doctor Donald Trump will choose that. Now, Dr. Shivangi, your thoughts on that?
Oh,
What are
absolutely. Yeah, I think is 3 years is not long term in the presidential campaign, because it takes he's going to campaign this year and next year for the U.S. Congress and of course the Senate race. He wants to solidify the majority in both the houses, and then he will have a strong hand in himself to be running for U.S. president. I think, as I told
okay?
you, he got the highest number of votes in the history of United States, 75 million
Okay.
votes. So he's not too far where he can muster the thing. Of course, he's a private financial affairs. Of course, everybody makes some profit, and he's no exception. We had to give him some leeway. And of course, if he's found guilty that he has done anything illegal, of course, the U.S. law is open, and it will take care of by itself. I don't think we should worry about it.
Thank,
The
thank you.
Democratic Party is looking into it. They are not going to let him go that easily. Of course, when he
Yeah.
passes all that, he'll be candidate in 2024.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Shivangi. And actually, while we were picking up questions from Danny Gaikwad, he logs in and he gets dropped out because, folks, please pardon us. He is trying his best. And imagine,
I know.
I just got a COVID shot, and he's parked on the side and he's joining this conversation. So you can well imagine his participation. Danny, we were just talking about you, sir. Your thoughts on this continuing question. I will not take up any time for this question because you know the trend where we're going, and we don't know if your connection may drop off. But what would you like to contribute to this discussion or your reflection?
I think Danny is frozen in time at this point.
Yeah, I think frozen.
Lucky him.
Okay, now that was my. Okay, if that's
Robin,
I can
if I
take
may
it.
answer that question, I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to tell
Before you do that, sir, let me put it this way. I'm a happy camper moderator, right? It seems to me all of us are frozen in time, not Danny, in terms of the discussion I wanted to have. But please, so now,
Robin, I want Prab to understand, you have to realize we in America recognize hard work. As Art said very rightly, we believe and we look at each other as proud Americans. But it's important that why should we be penalized for our success? Why is being successful and being famous and making a lot of money that, oh, you should be guilty? That's how the Democrats want us to start thinking, that you should be guilty. I'm happy that President Trump can go back to a normal life and do the business which he was doing. Myself was my wife and I have a small business, multiple businesses. We work very hard, but you have to realize, when your country or your state is in dire needs, you become citizen soldiers. What does that mean in citizen soldier? Citizen soldier is the founding fathers of this great nation were all business people. They stopped what they were doing and they got into the to fight for liberty, for freedom, for opportunity. And so be it. Let's find a way for us to respect each other. And that's so important, is to respect each other for who we are and what we are. An individual right, that's the difference. And the big government, which is the Democratic Party, wants us to believe that whatever you're doing, oh, this is not right and that is not right. And we know better. We, as individual business people, as doctors, as successful human beings, as God has made us to be, we know best what is best for us, for our families. The government doesn't. The governor of Virginia, who I call King Ralph, he doesn't. We used to get powers from the queen and the king, but no, we get our rights from the God.
Sure. Much appreciated. So, if I may, I'm sorry to kind of, being
No,
showing so
that's
that
fine.
because we've again got
Danny back.
Dan. So, Danny, your thoughts because on this conversation, sir.
Guys, I'm driving. I'm missing in between sometime, but I'm sorry about that. But let me talk about about Florida. You are right about Florida. We have too many people moving here. With the speed is unbearable with the infrastructure and all that. Matter of fact, just last week we had a call between the Blackstone Group chief strategist and the managing director, Zoe Zaida, with the governor and our team of Florida. We call Enterprise Florida. He told us they're opening the office in Jacksonville at 500,000 square foot. This is the fifth company from New York is moving. But I'm going to give you something interesting, and you may never have thought of it, my friends.
Sure.
And I hope it doesn't break it. If you are in a Texas protect the oil interests, encourage the Texas businessmen to make money and create a job. If you're in Florida, which I am the part of Visit Florida, I'm vice chairman for the last 11 years, and we protect the tourism because that's our base economy. I'm gonna give some statistics will blow your mind that New York has the largest financial hub in the world, but they do predatory practices and all kind to make the most money for the deficit from punishing all this industry. They find a little minute mistake here and there, and for years they've been punishing the finance company. I think finance company now had it. That sector is moving due to the new technology, connectivity, and all that. I have never seen a policy of any state who makes the most money out of that industry, and they are always more than ready to punish them every single day and collect the fines to pay the deficit on those districts. It is unheard in a modern economy. People give incentives if you're in Alabama or if you're in South Carolina or you're Florida. This is the only arrogant state. So we are taking the advantage of it. But as previously we talked, that we don't want those Democrats to move here, those who tired of the tax, those who tired of tyranny. I want my Democrat friends, please stay in your state, enjoy the hospitality of your governor. We have no reason them to come this way. We love to welcome our Republican buddies because eventually they will turn this Florida into another New York and a California. And that's our biggest fear.
Thank
That's
you.
point one. Number two, I was listening, but I was not on the show. Number
Yeah,
two,
sure. Thank you. Yeah.
you keep thinking what is the future of GOP and this and that. But I'm really thinking loud. If you minus Nancy Pelosi, where is your leadership? Who? Somebody has a signature coming to remove from the office because people tired. Somebody has all kind of allegations, which time will say. Who is gonna be? If you look at the Republican, you have too many leaders want to jump in the fray. So the question is this: that Do you want a democratic style lifestyle and a leadership, or do you want GOP style? America is a very powerful country, whether you like it or not. And my friend gave me one phrase. This is another thing. Wherever is a conflict in the world, whether it's Africa, Middle East, or Far East, like Hong Kong, have you ever a sign by people having a sign in their hand, say, France, please come and save us. UK, please come and save us. Have you ever remotely seen a sign, say, Russia, you are almighty. Can you come and save us? Then why they hold sign of America? Because America is a powerful country. We need a powerful leader. We can't have a leader who don't even remember 3 lines without a prompter. These are powerful decisions. This is gonna life changing. So
Agreed,
guys,
Danny. Agreed,
wake up
sir.
and smell
Agreed,
rose.
sir. I much understand, sir. I much understand, or little understand, etc. This conversation, sure. I mean, you're making brilliant points, and also, actually, I think when Art or Puneet was talking, a thought was coming to my mind. The idea is America a melting bowl or a salad bowl, right? Such, etc. So absolutely. But again, it comes down to yes, you're very right. America is a beacon. That is why. Why do you think so many in the world? I mean, within America, of course. Why do you think America is a center of attraction for everyone? Because America is the beacon on the hill or wherever. It is still also imperfect, but working towards perfection and being honest in some senses that you know what our big aim is to work towards perfection as compared to a North Korea which says we are perfect today. So that's the beauty and power of America. Now, which of
But
course,
sir, let me tell you something. You
Good
will
point.
like it.
Good point.
I have meet Mr. Biden with his son Hunter Biden at my hotel in Ocala. He's a very presentable, very respectable gentleman. I have nothing against him in a way, but you need a firm, and I had also meet many times President Trump to tackle the Russia, tackle the China, tackle the Mexico. You need a solid leader. You can't have a leader who want a popularity vote. You already won. Take a decision which are
thank
future
you.
changing, economic
Great.
impacting, and world changing one. You know.
Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much. I mean, we are continuing this discussion. Okay, we have got some comments coming in. Our producers, can you please share? Prab, he made a beautiful point, which I think Puneet or one of us answered. Prab says to Art Estepanan, Asian Americans actually voted for Republican Party in high numbers. He's giving Wikipedia reference. Okay, that's a long reference. I've run out. Okay, thank you, Prab. Apparently, it was that. Fair enough, noted. Thank you so much. Now, may I come to Dr. Shivangi? And okay, now, Dr. Shivangi, Puneet, and Art, one comments each, and then we go to the closing round because this is
Okay.
getting. As I told you when we started, Dr. Shivangi asked me how long will it take. I said 60 minutes to 75 minutes. Right now, as a moderator, I got to be respecting your time. But I mean, we ourselves enjoy the conversation. And the idea, the good thing with the Facebook Live is that the longer it runs, the more people are watching it coming by. So, Dr. Shivangi, your thoughts on this continuing discussion?
I think Art and Puneet and Danny made a great points, and I'm with them because there is a vacuum right now in the Republican Party because of whatever has happened on January 6th. That has to shape up. That has to take priority in fixing the internal law situation in US. I think people know what they're doing. Of course, we have more racial issues now because what happened in Atlanta, the Asian Americans were massacred. That is the right word, and I don't think that should be encouraged in any way. I'm not blaming Democratic Party for that they are doing it, but the atmosphere has to be clear. Your opinions have to be very open and
Sure,
say where you stand for. Until that happens, this is going to continue.
sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the
Sure.
opportunity.
No, sure. I mean, we'll come to a closing round after this
Okay.
quick, but with respect to what you said and with Puneet, who's running for election, Puneet, how would you look at it? Quick 10, 20 seconds and then Art, and then we do one closing round, please. Because the question which
What was it?
Dr.
Like,
Shivangi pointed,
if you, I think the important thing is that we as a country are a strong country. As Danny also said, we need a strong leader. We need to have clarity and transparency. And most importantly, when you have elements, I'm going to say one thing, Antifa or the BLM, if you are a bad actor, you need to go serve your time. When you start taking patriots or people who want to protest and want to be heard, want to have their voices heard, and you start calling them terrorists, there's a definite problem. And I also blame the media in this. I also blame the high tech industry. And I also blame the social media, which is tied in very aggressively with the liberal elitist uh, form of people in this country who are really trying to turn and change this country into a socialist country. Folks, it's like a frog being slowly boiled. It'll be too late for us to jump out. It's important for us to wake up and recognize the problem that is there.
thank you so much, Puneet. Thank you, Danny, again for joining us back. Art, your comment, and then we will take closing comments from Danny, Dr. Shivangi, and Puneet Ignacio. Art, your
Well,
quick comments.
thank you, Robin. No, I just associate myself with everything that my colleagues here have said. I'm so happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm usually the only Republican in all of these panels, and hallelujah, praise Jesus that we're all enlightened here in this panel. So I'm just so happy to be here with all of my colleagues. That really love the United States, and their success is a testimony of America. Their success is a testimony of what the average American can strive with hard work, faith, and love of country and family. So I can't say anything better than that.
Thank you so much, Art. That's so articulate.
Yeah,
Uh,
good here.
Danny, if you're there, sir, please. This is a closing round.
Yes, sir. No,
I think we
I'm
have
right
audio
here.
issue.
First of all,
Sorry.
Dr.
my
Shivangi, you
audio
said
is on.
something? Yeah, your audio is on. Yeah.
Can,
So starting with
can you
Danny,
guys hear
your
me,
closing
guys?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Thanks. The most important part is a debate, and thank you for organizing it, because and because we would not be able to speak our mind. I'm in Florida, someone is Virginia, somebody is in Alabama, Mississippi, and that's a healthy debate. I'm not here to criticize only Democrats, but I forgot to make one point. Puneet, the inclusion of minority is a mandatory if you want to survive in future politics. There used to be all white guys and all black guys and this and that is no more. This is a melting pot. You have Asians, you have Hispanics, and you have African American. That's a whole new politics, and because of that, the whole new politics is taking place. But if the GOP do not wake up and start doing what it takes, which they did in Florida, it's very difficult to win any election for anybody, because inclusion is the name of the game. President Trump did a fantastic job in my lifetime, 26 years in a Republican Party, that he did a fantastic job of inclusion. And I'm part of it. I went on a national television and speak for him. Who's going to give me those kind of opportunity? So Puneet is running for the office. Who's going to give him that opportunity? So these are the really thing. The
round.
only problem is Democrats are very clever, and I give them credit. Their optics is better than GOP optics. But if you look at it, we have a Nikki Haley, Indian descent, and this and that, Bobby Jindal, the governors. So it's not that, but we are not working properly or cashing out the way we should as a GOP, and that is our defect, really. And instead of hiding it, we should embrace it and get it done properly. And that's my message to GOP's future leaders and the future people. And that's what we need to learn from Democrat. Everything Democrat does is not bad, and everything GOP does is not good. But we should have a
Tha-
mixed ideas.
Great, great. Thank you, Danny. In fact, what you said now, what took us about an hour to come around to, I was expecting as the opening comments because I really wanted to tease out introspection, but I think we are all there. Thank you so much, Danny. May I now keep Punit Aluwalia for the closing because we would like you to give a concise roundup of the overall discussion. So from Danny, may I move to Art Estupinan, and then I come to Dr. Shivangi because Dr. Shivangi, I'm saving you for the second penultimate because I really want from you perspectives on the social issues, the mental health and race and those. And you have been an expert. You're an expert, right? And all of what we are talking, I would want you to kind of concise in your ways and share with our viewers, with our panel, where you think things are going. So before that, let's get to may I? Yeah, art.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, Robin. As I mentioned before, the Republican Party embraces everyone. Are there people that are thrown back into the '60s and they denied the reality of the new America? The new America looks totally different than it did in the '60s, and that's a reality that will continue to move forward. And that is what most Americans, I think, are very much aware of the global economy and the contributions that all of these different ethnic groups have for the economic development and the growth of the U.S. economy, embracing the different cultural identities, but all rooted in one United States of America, all of us united together for the love of country. That's what I believe that most folks are. We do have challenges, of course, but I think that we are in the better position than the other party, and I do hope that we continue having at least two political parties, because in countries where you have two political parties, democracy is safeguarded. In countries that you don't have two political parties, then we lose that democracy. And I don't, and I, Americans don't want to lose that ability to choose whether party A or party B. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Art. That's such a beautiful point you said about the two-party system. The idea of interlinking cleavages, which the US is based upon, that each party will bring its fringe towards the center, and
That's
then
right.
whichever party comes to power will have its own ideology, but that party will reign in the fringe because the fringe is there in
Yep.
both parties, both
Exactly.
sides, right? So
Yes.
that was the experiment and the American democracy, the two-party system, the value for those who notice. I mean, there's a different story about multi-party parliamentary system, that aside, but a very beautiful point you said. But that's where actually the question is coming on, that is the Republican Party, if there's a two-party system, is the Republican Party being taken over by one side, or the Democratic Party is being taken over by the extreme side, right? That is the challenge, I think, which all of us are thinking, talking about. Thank you so much, Art.
Thank you, sir.
Now, my pleasure. Now coming to Shivangi. Now, that all being said, I'll put you again on the spot, sir, because of course, apart from being a leader and a Republican ideologue, etc., you are also a professional in areas of mental health, right, and mental stress. My question again, linking to this whole thing, what Art is saying, and the issue of stress in society, social stress. One big, I would not say allegation, but one big question towards the Republican Party is that it is kind of alienating, or it's kind of riling up social tensions, or perhaps the fringe, or you could say it for the reverse, as I was saying to Art, even on the Democrat side, there's a fringe, okay, which has to be brought back for the two parties to work. How do you see this all playing out with respect to, I would not even say social tensions, I'll say mental stress in American society?
It's
Don't think you're
huge.
Republican or a Democrat. Just think of yourself as an American and stress in
Yeah,
society.
it's a huge issue, especially post-COVID. There is an increased incidence of alcoholism, drug addiction, suicide, and mental illness overall has doubled and tripled in the United States because people did not go out, they were isolated, they were under a lot of stress, and that stress made them to take double the dose of addiction they were already having it. They have increased alcoholism, increased, as I said, isolation definitely would make a less human being. And as you see, credit to President Biden. Just yesterday, he increased the funds to SAMHSA, which is substance abuse mental health, $1.5 billion. Increased the budget in a day. Of course, each state probably will get 30 to 50 million dollars only to take care of the people who are being affected by this mental illness post-COVID situation. I think that's a big contribution. It's a long way to go to get back to people to normalcy because money will not buy health instantly. It takes
Yeah.
time. Yeah. So, we are in the process of doing that. I think thanks to President Biden, even though I'm a Republican, the credit should go where it is due. I think he deserves credit for bringing up the mental health issues, and I thank him for that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shivangi, for your closing comments on that. Yeah, definitely. You see, the bottom line is that in all these contestations between who is doing what and what policy is better, bottom line which matters is the happiness and peace of mind of each citizen. Food and security and peace of mind. So thank you so much, Dr. Shivangi. I mean, I would think that's the objective of all leaders. Now, as a leader, Punit Aluwalia, you get the closing comments, sir. How would you ensure peace of mind, the idea of a salad bowl versus a melting pot? See, keep aside the economy. It seems to me, honestly, if you ask me, see, as a moderator, I don't get to talk my views, but anyway, apart from that, okay, economy will go on. So, as a leader and going out to talk to voters and folks and everyone, again, as you said, it doesn't matter if you're A origin, B origin, C origin, or whichever ethnicity, an American citizen out there talking about the values. And it's not a perfect situation, but working towards perfection with genuine hearts. How would you sell your message and go beyond? See, the point is sure enough. Again, two-party system, as Art said, it's 51 Republican, 49 Democrat. If you want to expand the camp or the tent, how would you do that, sir? And that would be your closing comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Really appreciate. Great panel, Art, Dr. Sampath Shivangi, and great to see my good friend Danny. Leadership comes with a lot of responsibility, and especially for somebody like me, who is running for a very important executive position, which is going to set the tone not only in Virginia but for the rest of the country. And I feel very blessed, and I feel very, God chisels you to His perfection to reach this position, and you have to take this responsibility very carefully, because a lot of, when I go travel all around Virginia and I talk to people, there are a lot of hopes and aspirations that are tied to this, that you need good, transparent governance who's going to make sure that all Virginians are safe and all Virginians are treated fairly. It should not be pitting one against the other. No democracy is perfect, but the dialogue in democracy is so important. But when the other side starts to cancel your message on television, on singling out that this Fox News or Max News should not be played, that means you're moving towards something. You want to single out the Prager, the Republican platforms on social media, then there is something fundamentally wrong with our country. And that's where the people are important and needed to participate. And especially the onus is on this successful community, which is the large Indian American, the Asian American, the entire immigrant population. And that's the reason why in the changing demographics of Northern Virginia, Richmond area, and Virginia Beach, I'm a very unique candidate because I'm a first generation American. I wasn't born like Nikki Haley or Bobby Jindal. I came to this country 30 years ago, just like Sampajit did. And this is my home. I have to fight for liberty. And that's the reason I'm the only unique candidate who can talk to these people who are first generation immigrants who have gone through the hardship of delivering pizzas, working different jobs, and have gone through the psychological challenges, which Dr. Sampath Shivangi knows very well, and are going through after post-COVID. It's important for us to connect to those people. And when you are lieutenant governor, with the grace of God, you're not governor just or lieutenant governor of Democrats, Republican, or the extreme right or left. I believe you are for everyone. And town hall meetings, open conversation like these are so important that we are able to discuss and find a better solution and good governance for the people of Virginia and the United States. And are there fringe groups? There are fringe groups on all sides. But it is people like us who participate in the political process and draws those people so that we can say that it's the legislation which is the problem, not the Democrats. It's the Republican who are not the problem. It's the legislation. But some legislation has to be seen why it is fundamentally important to the Constitution, to our rights as human beings. That's why I'm running for office. I'm a private person. My wife and my kids, we just love our privacy. But it's important for us to stand up as successful Americans, not Asian Americans, not Indian Americans, as successful Americans. So puneet4lg.com is a place. And I'll tell you one more thing. This is the only state, mind you, this is the only state in the whole of United States, which is a play state, and it can become a play state again in the next 2024 presidential election if the entire Asian American community comes out and plays a role. The entire first generation immigrant community comes out and plays a role. That's what I'm trying to do. Be the catalyst. Be the voice of the unheard. Thank you. My name is Puneet, and I'm running for lieutenant governor. With your support, with your generous donation, I'll win.
Sure. And one second, after this, while we're closing, I think we can have a quick wrap-up comment from Art and Dr. Shivangi also. But let me just say, sure, Punit, that's a brilliant idea and pitch. Of course, there are multiple aspects and nuances as we dig in deeper to what we look at. But yeah, sure, entrepreneurship, leadership, as much as possible should be there. That's the idea for America. So thank you so much, Puneet, and we all wish you, of course, the best. Art, would you like to put a quick comment, because my producers are telling me, sir, you're running out of time. But when you have such brilliant guests like Puneet and Art and Dr. Shivangi, the conversation gets energy. Yeah, enlarged. Exactly. So Art, yours and Dr. Shivangi.
No. So I congratulate Mr. Puneet for that eloquent closing statement. I mean, his love for the United States is very evident, and his love for helping people is very evident, which is very difficult nowadays in the public sector. Take it from someone who was in the public sector for 27 years. I was not elected, but I was still chief of staff to the former chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. So basically, I was in that sphere as a non-elected official, and it's not easy. It's not easy nowadays. Our public officials, as you know, elected officials have a tremendous stress. The family suffers, the sacrifice, income. There's so many limitations with the time, and so on and so forth. So I congratulate Mr. Puneet, and as he said, not only the Indian American community, but all Americans should support him, because he seems to be very sincere and genuine and wants to help and be part of the United States government. So, I hope all of our friends support him, and we need people like him, because people like him is what makes this country great. So I hope all our friends support Mr. Punet. I will. So just let me know what I need to do.
Give me a
Thank
one
you
day's
so
lunch money. It could be a family lunch. Puneet for LG.com, donate. And tell your
Absolutely.
friends to be delegates to the nomination process.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much, Art. And while you were
Yes.
talking, I think we got a message from Alan Holbrook, who says precisely why I'm supporting Puneet's efforts as much as I can. Thank you so much, Alan, for mentioning that. Now, before I come to Dr. Shivangi for the closing comments, Satish Karat says it is very relevant. Thank you, Satish, for your thoughts. I'm reminded, since we're talking about Virginia, I think about not 10, 12, 15 years ago, Mark Warner, when he was the governor of Virginia, USINPAC, in fact, we took a delegation of about 200, 150 folks from Virginia, a business delegation to India, a huge one. So maybe Puneet, when you're the lieutenant governor, we'll take a 300 people delegation to India, talking about US India relations. And at that time, they were pitching, Mark Warner was pitching Virginia as a destination for multimedia and production. And we set up a meeting with India's top of tops of directors, filmmakers, and the film industry in Bombay. So that could be something in
We would
terms
love
of
to do that.
would be lovely.
Whatever creates jobs on
Sure.
both sides, in
Exactly.
India and the United States. It's so important to create jobs and build this partnership between two democracies on a solid foundation, not only through trade, but through cultural exchange, through all the
Absolutely.
exchange between people to people.
Sure.
Art,
And,
you were
Thank
and,
saying something.
and the economists, I just want to add this. Economists are saying that India is going to be one of the most premier economies of the world. So the economy in India is going to balloon. So having that relationship with the U.S. and
Very
India
important.
makes a lot of sense.
Very
Thank you so
important.
much. Absolutely. And you have been contributing, you've been doing a lot of, you know, relationship building between multiple countries and America. So maybe you should, time for you to start thinking about India, my friend. Sure. Thank you.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Shivangi, your wrap up comments.
Yeah, no, I will be very brief. I just want to congratulate Puneet. I hope he will be successful in his endeavors. He deserves one, and we are all with him. And secondly, I think, of course, I'm the only one who am a delegate for 5 consecutive Republican Party conventions. So, I owe my gratitude to Republican Party for making me who I am. So I'm grateful to them. So with that view, I just have advice to Democratic Party and the leadership that go easy on India, because I hear so many remarks against Prime Minister Modi, democratic values, 370, CAA. They are internal matters of India. We have been voted in the both parliaments and approved by the President of India. I think leave India alone, mind our own business, what happens in the United
Well,
States. I think that's my take on today's issue.
it
Because
sounds
I've been
it's
a vote
doctor.
for
It sounds to me like they need a good lobbyist, and I could help India. I could lobby for India. If they need a good lobbyist in Washington to educate the
Yes, I
members
do
of
agree.
Congress and the
We do
administration.
need
So
really, we don't have a good representation of India in Washington. I hope we will elect you or select you.
yes, sir,
I think
absolutely.
with those remarks, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you
We'll
so
continue
much.
to be part of your dialogue and, you know,
Sure.
the best
Thank you
man
so
win.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
So much, Dr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Shivangi.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sanjay. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Santino, our team.
Yes,
Thank you,
Santino.
our back end folks and all. Uh, this was the Friday noon hour on a topic as you discussed. We were discussing the future of the GOP in America. The show ends now. We look forward to catching up with you. Please keep your comments coming. This show would be recorded and put up on YouTube, and you can access it and share with your family and friends. We look forward to meeting up with you, catching up with you next Friday on a similar topic, energizing. Till then, thank you so much. The broadcast ends now.
Thank you, Robinji. Thank you very much.